A man stands alone in a cavernous stone room, the thick, heavy veil resting at his back. His hands tremble as he holds a golden censer. We have sanitized the story. We have turned an invasion into a holiday greeting card. But if you strip away the centuries of stained glass and tradition, this exact room, the angel does not ask if she is ready. He does not ask if she is comfortable. The message is not an invitation. It is an invasion. The veil has now torn twice. Once for an old priest in the epicenter of religious power. Once for a young girl in the obscurity of a domestic house. Heaven is breaking into the physical architecture of human life. You might think the pattern is complete, but the most violent collision of all is still coming. And it will not happen indoors. We are a species completely obsessed with managing our fears. Think about the architecture of your normal week. Your anxieties are almost entirely tied to the physical world you can see and touch. You grip the cold leather of the steering wheel on your morning commute, carrying the heavy, invisible burden of a fragile economy. You sit under the sterile, humming fluorescent lights of a clinical waiting room, terrified of a diagnosis. You lie awake at 2 in the morning, staring at the harsh blue glow of a smartphone screen, trying to navigate the complex social standing of your own life. We pray for God to intervene in these moments. We ask Him to fix the minor disruptions in our carefully curated routines. You find a reality that is much heavier. You find human beings collapsing. They fall to the ground. They cover their faces. They lose their breath. We think we want the veil to tear open. We tell ourselves that if we could just see an angel, if we could just hear a voice from the sky or feel a supernatural touch, all of our earthly anxieties would instantly evaporate into perfect peace. But the ancient text stands as a massive, immovable warning sign. The unfiltered presence of heaven is not a cozy blanket. It is a consuming fire. If the creator of the cosmos actually pulls back the curtain and steps into your timeline, it will not comfort your human biology. It will overwhelm it. The distance between the holy and the common is violently vast. When you ask God to move heavily in your life, you are not asking for a consultant to give you advice. You are asking for a king to take the throne. And when the king arrives, the fragile, self-made architecture of your life will buckle under the sheer, unshielded weight of his presence. Your immediate biological instinct will be exactly the same as the old priest in the sanctuary and the teenage girl in her kitchen. The cognitive dissonance will hit. The adrenaline will spike. Your mind will churn like a storm, and you will want to run back to the familiar, manageable dark. The terror you feel when God actually starts dismantling your carefully laid plans is not a sign that something has gone wrong. It is the proof that He has actually arrived. Gabriel's ancient command echoes across the centuries. Speaking directly, every single time the curtain between heaven and earth is pulled back in this narrative, the immediate human reaction is not awe into your own moments of spiritual panic. Meifobu. Stop fleeing. Hold your ground. Do not run from the very answer you have been begging for, just because it arrived wrapped in terrifying disruption instead of safe predictability. But holding your ground requires an anchor. You can try to manage the panic when the divine invades the quiet. A structured ritual of a religious building. You can try to hold yourself together when the presence steps into the private sanctuary of your own home. But the next time the veil tears, there are no walls to hold the light. The hillside outside Bethlehem is freezing. The dirt is hard-packed. The night is completely black. A fire burns low in the brush. Sheep huddle together for warmth. The wind cuts straight through rough wool cloaks. The shepherds sit in the dirt. They are awake. They are watching. They are armed against wolves and thieves. They are outcasts, living on the margins, working the graveyard shift in the cold. And then, the darkness vanishes. The sky does not just brighten, it rips apart. An angel of the Lord stands before them. The glory of the Lord shines around them. There are no stone walls to soften the light. There is no heavy temple veil to hide the fire. There is no wooden roof to block the weight of the unseen realm. The collision is total. The exposure is absolute. It is sheer, paralyzing terror. And every single time, the very first words spoken from the other side are exactly the same. Do not be afraid. Luke's language here is the strongest yet. He does not say they were troubled. He does not say fear merely fell on them. He writes that they were filled with great fear. The Greek text doubles the root word for emphasis, ephobethesan phobon megan. They feared a great fear. The adrenaline surges. The biological instinct screams. The nervous system completely overloads. They drop to the freezing dirt. They cover their faces. They brace for destruction. This is not a gentle nativity pageant. It is a cosmic shockwave hitting a silent hill. The angel stands in the blinding light. The voice echoes over the rocky terrain. Fear not. Me phobesta. Stop fleeing. He issues the exact same survival protocol. He tethers their minds to the earth. Do not run. Hold your ground. Look up. Unto you is born this day in the city of David a Savior, who is Christ the Lord. Suddenly, the sky shatters completely. A multitude of the heavenly host appears. A vast, terrifying army of light, filling the atmosphere. They shout their praise. They glorify God on the earth. And then, as quickly as they came, they leave. The sky goes black again. The night returns. The fire smolders. The shepherds are left gasping for air on the ground, their retinas burning with the afterimage of heaven. 3 commands, 3 terrors. We have heard this phrase so many times, it has completely lost its edge. We print it on coffee mugs. We stitch it onto throw pillows. 3 violent tears in the veil. But look closely at where these 3 collisions actually happened. There is a map to the terror. There is a geography to the glory. And when you connect the 3 locations, a massive, unseen pattern emerges from the text. The 3 locations are not an accident. In the architecture of the ancient Jewish mind, physical space was strictly categorized by its proximity to the divine presence. The geography of Israel was a series of concentric circles, and the temple in Jerusalem was the absolute center of the world. It was the holy place, separated by a heavy, woven veil, smelling of burning myrrh, restricted to a few chosen men who knew the ancient rituals. The house in Nazareth represented the domestic sphere. It was common space. It was the place that smelled like crushed olives and baking bread. The ordinary architecture where people slept, ate, and lived their quiet, unremarkable lives. The field in Bethlehem was the wilderness. It was the margin. It was the freezing, uncultivated dirt where the societal outcasts worked the graveyard shift. Far removed from the clean, organized rituals of the religious elite, human nature is obsessed with keeping God in the center circle. We desperately want the terrifying, unshielded fire of heaven safely contained behind a thick curtain, accessible only when we are ready, only when we have prepared our prayers and lit our incense. If God stays in the sanctuary, our kitchen belongs to us. We treat it like a divine pat on the back, a celestial version of there. Everything is going to be fine. If he remains in the holy places, the dark fields remain our domain. But Luke's gospel destroys those carefully constructed boundaries in 3 successive strikes. The invasion does not respect the religious zoning laws of the 1st century. The veil is not just torn from top to bottom at the crucifixion, on Good Friday. It is being systematically bypassed from the very first chapter of the story. Heaven hits the sacred center. Heaven hits the ordinary home. Heaven hits the dark margins. This is not a geographical coincidence. It is a theological manifesto. The angel's survival protocol is issued to the highest religious official, the most ordinary teenage girl, and the lowest social outcast. The biological panic is universal, because the exposure is now universal. The commander of the heavenly host steps onto the ornate stone floor of the altar, the dusty ground of a peasant kitchen, and the freezing grass of a sheep pasture, carrying the exact same unshielded glory into every single domain of human existence. There is no longer a safe room where the presence cannot reach. The pattern is complete. But when you pull back and look at the entire sequence from a distance, and the echo of these 3 moments forms a rhythm that changes everything about how you stand in your own dark rooms. An old priest stood in the suffocating smoke of the sanctuary, and the silence of 400 years finally broke. But the messenger was not offering a bumper sticker. He was diagnosing something. He was looking at a human nervous system shutting down. A teenage girl sat in the shadows of an ordinary kitchen, and the architecture of a king's lineage was rewritten. A group of outcasts shivered in the freezing dirt of the margins, and the dark sky shattered with an army of light. The human nervous system violently shut down, and the survival protocol of heaven held it together. The heavy veil of the holy place was completely bypassed, and the divine presence bled into the common streets. The biological impulse screamed at them to run away, and the command anchored their feet to the floor. The distance between the Creator and the created completely vanished, and a Savior finally breathed the air of earth. One command. One invasion. But maybe the part that stays with me most is the clinical precision of the physician's Greek, me phobou. It is not a gentle suggestion to calm your mind. It is a direct demand to stop running. The angel saw the adrenaline spiking in the cold temple and the dusty house, and he knew the human instinct. When confronted with the crushing, unfiltered weight of real holiness, we always want to bolt back to the manageable dark, under the weight of an unshielded reality. And he was issuing a command to hold the person together. Do not be afraid is not a gentle suggestion. We want the burning myrrh and the quiet, predictable ritual. We do not want the fire. If you are in a season where God feels terrifyingly close, where the carefully curated structure of your life is buckling under a weight you cannot control, the command remains the same. The churning of your mind, the tarasso, is entirely natural. You are human, but do not let it turn into flight. Hold your ground. Do not run from the very answer you have been begging for, just because it arrived wrapped in terrifying disruption. The invasion is not there to destroy you. It is there to deliver the promise. And may the God who refuses to stay safely hidden behind a woven curtain meet you in the ordinary rooms of your life and give you the courage to keep your eyes open when the fire falls. It is a survival protocol. The question is why? Why is the gap between us and them so violent? Why does the message that changes the history of the world have to be delivered to people who are actively trying not to die of fright? His hands tremble as he holds a golden censer. The air is heavy with the sweet, choking smoke of burning frankincense. And what does that exact phrasing mean for the moments in your own life when the bottom falls out and fear is the only thing you can feel? To find the answer, you cannot start with the humans. You have to step back and look at what an angel actually is. Picture the prophet Ezekiel. He stands by the mud banks of the Chebar Canal. A windstorm blows in from the north. The clouds ignite. He looks up and sees intersecting wheels, the color of beryl, rims covered in blinking, burning eyes, darting back and forth like bolts of lightning. The sound of their wings is like the roar of rushing waters. He drops face down in the dirt. This is the biblical reality of the unseen realm. Angels are not humans with bird wings. They are not chubby toddlers playing golden harps on fluffy clouds. They are not the delicate porcelain figurines sitting on a mantelpiece. They are not comforting apparitions. They are the heavy artillery of heaven. Look at the ancient record. They guard the gates of Eden with a flaming sword that turns in every direction. They strike the men of Sodom blind in the street. They walk through the camp of Assyria and leave 185. 000 soldiers dead in the dirt before sunrise. Their presence is catastrophic to human biology. When the veil lifts and an angel steps into our dimension, the physical environment buckles, and for the first time in his long life, he is entirely alone in the holy place. The temple is perfectly quiet. The air pressure drops. The ambient light becomes blinding. The ground itself shakes. The human body, frail and made of dust, simply cannot handle the proximity to that kind of unfiltered power. It is like standing inches from a spinning jet turbine. It is like wrapping your bare hands around a high-voltage wire. The human nervous system overloads. The knees give out, The lungs forget how to pull in oxygen. Every biological instinct screams that you are in mortal danger. In the ancient texts, people do not smile when they see an angel. They collapse. They weep. They hide their faces in the dust. The Hebrew word is malach. The Greek word is angelos. Both simply mean messenger. But the title is deceptive. It sounds safe. It sounds like a celestial courier. But the message they carry is the presence of the king himself. They reflect the glory they stand in. They are saturated with the burning atmosphere of the throne room. A biblical angel does not ask for your attention. It dismantles your reality. For 400 years, before the Gospel of Luke opens, the skies over Israel have been completely silent. No prophets, no visions, no pillars of fire, just the grinding machinery of the Roman Empire, the smell of street dust, and the heavy, metallic burden of taxation. Heaven seems closed for business. The people are waiting for a military conqueror. Then, the silence breaks. And then, the quiet shatters. 6 months later, a teenage girl sits in the shadow of a stone house in Nazareth. But the invasion does not target Caesar's palace. It does not target the Roman legions. The veil tears open for an old priest, a teenage girl, and a crew of dirty shepherds. And the very first tear happens in the darkest, quietest room of the city. Zechariah stands in the holy place. The air is thick with the sweet, suffocating smoke of burning myrrh and frankincense. Outside the heavy wooden doors, a multitude of worshippers prays in the courtyard. Inside, there is only the quiet hiss of the golden lampstand, the sharp scent of ancient oil, and the cold, immovable stone beneath his feet. He is an old man. His hands are spotted with age. For decades, he and his wife Elizabeth have carried the heavy, silent grief of an empty house. The temple is the center of the world for a Jewish priest, and to be chosen by lot to enter this specific room is a once-in-a-lifetime honor. Many priests die never having crossed this threshold. Zechariah has waited his entire life for this single, fleeting moment in the dark. He has prayed for Israel's redemption. He has prayed for a child. He has watched the years take his youth, and he has watched the silence take his hope. The prayers for a son turned to dust a long time ago. She is minding her own business. The air shifts. The room suddenly fills with a presence that should not be there. He is no longer asking for a miracle. He is just burning the incense. He expects the divine presence in this room to be symbolic. He expects a quiet and reverent ritual. He does not expect a commander of the heavenly host to step out of the shadows, right beside the golden altar. The smoke separates. A figure is standing there. Gabriel. Luke's gospel records the human reaction in 2 distinct beats. First, Zechariah is troubled. Then, fear falls upon him. He does not raise his hands in joyful worship. He does not weep with sudden relief. He collapses inward. The ancient text carries the image of a sudden, crushing weight pressing down on his chest, driving the air from his lungs. His terror is not a spiritual failure. It is a biological inevitability. He has spent his entire life reading the ancient parchment scrolls about the consuming fire of God. And now a being saturated in that very fire is standing 3 feet away from him in a locked room. The silence of the sanctuary is not broken by a gentle whisper. It is pierced by a command. Do not be afraid. Zechariah, your prayer has been heard. Gabriel does not apologize for the intrusion. He does not dim his own light to make the old man comfortable. He simply issues the celestial protocol to hold the priest's mind together so the message can be delivered. A son is coming. A prophet is coming. Months after that, a group of shepherds sit on the freezing, hard-packed dirt of a hillside outside Bethlehem. The night is completely black. The 400 years of silence are over. Zechariah's panic in the temple is the first domino to fall in the Christmas story. But to understand what the angel is actually demanding when he says, "Do not be afraid," we have to look beneath the English translation. We have to look at the exact words the physician Luke chooses to document this physiological shutdown. Because in this text, the concept of fear is split in 2. and the difference between them changes everything. Luke is not just a historian, he is a physician. When he sits down to write his account, the ink drying on his papyrus scroll, he is incredibly precise with his language. He does not use words casually. He diagnoses the human condition with clinical accuracy. And when he describes how human beings react to the sudden arrival of heaven, he uses two distinct Greek verbs to map out the exact anatomy of human panic. First, he tells us that when Zechariah saw the angel, he was troubled. The Greek word is tarasso. It describes a violent inward commotion. It carries the physical image of water being aggressively stirred up, a turbulent sea churning in a storm. It is the cognitive dissonance of your brain trying to process something that violently breaks the rules of your reality. And then, the sky rips open. 3 different locations, 3 different moments, 3 different people who have absolutely nothing in common. Your mind spins. Your thoughts fragment. But then, Luke shifts to the second reaction. He writes that fear fell upon him. And when Gabriel opens his mouth to speak, the angel does not address the internal churning. He addresses the physical reaction. The word the angel uses for fear is the Greek phobio. It is the root of our English word phobia. It does not mean to be mildly anxious or nervous. Its primary, ancient meaning is flight. It is the sudden, overwhelming biological impulse to run away, to escape, to survive at all costs. It is adrenaline flooding your veins, your heart hammering against your ribs, your instincts screaming at you to get out of the room before you are destroyed. It is the exact same word the disciples will use decades later, when they are caught in a sinking boat on the Sea of Galilee, watching the black waters swallow the deck, screaming that they are about to drown. Complete, mortal terror. So, the angel issues his command. Gabriel says, "Me phobu," stop fleeing. The command is not about the churning of the mind. The angel does not tell Zechariah to stop being confused. He does not tell the old man to stop feeling completely overwhelmed. He tells him to stop running. "Do not be afraid" is not a request for inner peace. It is a demand for presence. But the entrance is exactly the same. Most people read the opening chapters of Luke's Gospel and see a warm, peaceful nativity pageant. Gabriel is looking at an old priest whose biology is begging him to flee the sanctuary. And the angel is anchoring him to the stone floor. Stay in the room. Hold your ground. The answer you have been begging for your entire life is finally standing in front of you. And if you run away now, you will miss it. Zechariah has to survive the terror to receive the promise. This is the first collision between heaven and earth in the Gospel of Luke. But 6 months later, the exact same commander is dispatched again. And the environment could not be more different. Nazareth is not Jerusalem. There are no golden lampstands here. There is no burning myrrh. There is no heavy veil hiding the presence of God. There is only hard-packed dirt, the distant sound of braying livestock, and the sharp smell of crushed olives and baking bread. A teenage girl sits in the shadow of a stone house. Her name is Mary. She is minding her own business. She is ordinary. Then, the sunlight bends. The ambient temperature plummets. The air grows thick, heavy with the terrifying, suffocating weight of the unseen realm. The exact same commander of the heavenly host steps right into the room. Gabriel, 6 months ago. He stood beside the altar of incense. Now, he stands in a peasant's kitchen. He speaks, "Greetings, O favored one. The Lord is with you." We picture a glowing star, a quiet baby, and angels hovering in the night sky like gentle, winged fairies singing lullabies. Luke documents her reaction with the exact same clinical precision. He writes that she was greatly troubled at the saying. It is that word again, tarasso, the violent inward commotion. Her mind churns like a stormy sea. She is desperately trying to map this moment onto anything she understands. She casts about in her mind to consider what sort of greeting this might be. She is a nobody from a nowhere town. Angels do not visit Nazareth. They do not visit teenage girls. The biological terror spikes. The adrenaline floods her veins. Her instinct screams to bolt through the doorway, out into the dusty street, and run until her lungs give out. Gabriel sees the human nervous system shutting down. He sees the flight response taking over. He issues the survival protocol. Do not be afraid, Mary, for you have found favor with God. Me phobu. Stop fleeing. The command is not a gentle lullaby. It is a tether. He is tying her mind to the stone floor, so she can catch the weight of the revelation. You will conceive. You will bear a son. He will be great. He will take the ancient throne of his father David. His kingdom will never end. The Spirit of the Most High is going to overshadow